Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I will talk about how to deal with reverse culture shock. What exactly is reverse culture shock? Well, according to the internet, it is reverse culture shock is the emotional and physiological distress suffered by some people when they return home after a number of years overseas, or can be months. This can result in unexpected difficulty in readjusting to the culture and values of the home country, now that the previously familiar has become unfamiliar. And the degree of reverse culture shock may be directly proportional to the length of time spent overseas. The longer the time spent abroad, the greater the shock factor upon the eventual return home. Another factor that may influence the magnitude of reverse culture shock is the extent of the difference in cultures between the expatriate home country and the foreign country. Episodes of reverse culture shock typically are less severe for individuals who have traveled overseas and return home frequently and developed a perspective on interacting with other cultures. Okay, I know that a lot of travelers or expats that have lived abroad are now back home because of this outbreak, because you are forced to or because you wanted to. And I think it's a serious matter to talk about this, because reverse culture shock is just, it can be a serious problem, and I've also had difficulties and I am still working on it. To be honest, I still feel the reverse culture shock, even though I have been abroad for 8 months. First, I am going to tell about my own experience while I lived in one country, because I've experienced twice reverse culture shock before, and now I have traveled the world. It is not thrice. For me, I have lived in China when I was 4 years old and when I was 21 years old. So the time that I was a kid at 4 years old, I cannot remember much of it, but what I still remember nowadays, that a lot of things in the Netherlands, because that's the country where I am born, by the way, for the ones that don't know yet, it was very hard for me to adapt some cultural factors, and I thought it was because of my Chinese parents, but I really think that having to live in China when I was 4 years old affected me a lot. And yes, I think it affected my behavior, but I cannot remember that reverse culture shock very well. But when I was 21 years old, I went to China once again to live there for 10 months straight, and that one was for my study abroad. I was an exchange student in Shanghai, and I followed that study for 5 months, and then I did an internship in Shanghai for 5 months, so in total 10 months. And after these 10 months, when I returned back home to the Netherlands, yeah, it was very hard for me to adapt again, and I really think it was hard and difficult. And the good thing was that I was with classmates whom I went to Shanghai, from the Netherlands to Shanghai and back to the Netherlands. So we had this group that we could talk to, and everyone from the same study had the same experience. So it was really good to have this group, you know. So it really feels that people understand you. And for me, it took quite long to really get used to the Netherlands again. I think it took me maybe even a year to adapt and to accept it, because I really missed China and I really wanted to live in China again. But it was hard for me, and oh yeah, not 1 year very extreme or something, but just I think the first months, like 2 or 3 months, it was super difficult, and within the first year that I came back to the Netherlands, it was more like, okay, I really miss the times in Shanghai. Oh, I know I wanted to go to that store, or I would have seen that friend that lives in Shanghai, or you know, this kind of things. It was not like super extreme hard, not for the year luckily, but okay, now we are getting to my third time of getting a reverse culture shock, and this time it was very different, because I was a female solo traveler who traveled all around the world, and obviously, okay, I make these travel videos so I can share my experience, but yeah, when I came back to the Netherlands, I was forced to come back to the Netherlands because of the outbreak. Okay, not like forced, but I mean, it would have been safe to do it right now, otherwise I would get in trouble when the borders are closing. At the end of January I came back to the Netherlands, but I was super stressed from the outbreak in Asia, and I was in quarantine the first 2 weeks. When I came back, I was at the Dutch island called Ameland, because I just wanted to make sure that I didn't brought anything with me. So that's very unusual, and okay, I was staying in quarantine, so the best way actually to beat the reverse culture shock is to get out in a community again. And if you cannot do that, it's just hard. And when I went back to the mainland of the Netherlands, yeah, it was also weird to see so many bicycles and to see the fresh air, to breathe the fresh air, no pollution like in Asia, and yeah, a lot of green things. I was just like a tourist, and it was also hard to talk my mother tongue again, because I was always talking in English, and I was a very individual person. And if you travel all around the globe, yeah, you are there for a few weeks or a month or so, or a few months in my case, and there is just not a lot of attachment to anything. Yeah, so I was very used to see new things. That's the hardest thing for me when I came back, that I didn't saw new things and everything was familiar to me. Like, I could speak the language and I understood the culture, and that was really like, oh my god, no, I don't feel comfortable, you know, like I know this place and I know how things work out, because as a traveler you always have to figure out things. You have to figure out the places, you have to figure out the language, you have to figure out how the people behave and the culture, all these things, you know. And yeah, so I am super used to see new things, see new experiences, and yeah, if I see something that's too familiar, yeah, that's not nice. No, no, no. And yeah, especially in quarantine, it's a little bit difficult to know the culture of your country again, because you have to interact with people, you know, and you really need to go out there yeah, to really beat the reverse culture shock. But yeah, if you cannot do that, that's kind of hard, but you can still do a lot of things online, interacting with people online. And yeah, I think that's the best way to deal with it. Just yeah, you also please don't forbid yourself to feel bad, because you need to feel these feelings, and yeah, you need to adapt again to something what once was your home. And yeah, it's totally okay. You just have to go in the process and yeah, just really start to know your own culture and home country again. Okay, one other thing that I need to mention is that like all these people are civilians. You have to remember that. And yeah, you were a very individual. Yeah, if you have been a full-time traveler, you must know you are a person that don't have much attachment. But normal people have their office that they go daily to. They see the same people, they live in a neighborhood and they interact with their neighbors, and they have a gym where they know these kind of people. And at the beginning I felt like I cannot really talk about that because I don't have my circle of groups, because I'm everywhere in the place, everywhere in the world. So I couldn't talk about yeah, Jim's birthday party or something, or that local television show. And but that's totally okay, and just know that you need the time to do it. Yeah, for me, I think I pretty much got over it. Like, well, in quarantine I'm super okay with it right now, and I think I really got back in the community again, and I think I really have beaten it. But it can also be different when I'm going out of quarantine, of course. Make the best out of this situation in quarantine. And I know that the full-time travelers that are watching this, yeah, you want to travel, but yeah, you need to accept the fact that you cannot travel anymore for the time being, for your own safety and for other people's safety, and that you will travel again sooner or later. What helps me a lot is that I yeah, brainwashed myself. I told myself traveling the world is something in a fantasy world. I needed to do this, so otherwise I would really feel bad and miss it too much. And this helps me a lot, that traveling doesn't exist. And when the outbreak is over, my mind will of course change. But okay, just a tip if you miss traveling too much. And yeah, this was actually my experience about reverse culture shock, and I would really love to know what is your experience. And I actually also had an idea, and I know that there are so many full-time travelers out there that have their own very unique experience, and I want to make a full video out of this, that everyone is telling about reverse culture shock, and yeah, telling about their own experience, where they have been, and how is it to be back, and in which country are you right now. And basically what I want to do is collect some shots of different travel YouTubers and put them all together in one video. And yeah, just let me know, send me a DM on Instagram, and or you can send me an email about it if you want to be a part of that video. I think it would be a very beautiful and unique video to put out there on the internet and share these unique stories the story of you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you can subscribe here down below, and see you next time. Bye bye.